Parts of North America have been plunged into darkness in a total solar eclipse, with huge crowds gathering to witness the phenomenon. The eclipse made its first appearance in Mexico before it was visible in the US and parts of Canada.
According to NASA, more than 31 million people were able to witness the rare event, which lasted more than 4 minutes in some areas. Our North America correspondents are in two of those areas. Carrington Clark watched the totality in Lake Moosehead in Maine, while Barbara Miller saw a partial eclipse in Washington, D.C. Let's go to Carrington first. Carrington, great to have you on this morning. I believe you're a bit of an eclipse chaser.
Yeah, I'd like to refer to myself probably as an eclipse evangelist. I was lucky enough to see it back in 2017 in Nashville. That one was by accident. I just happened to be in the state when it was occurring. And after experiencing totality for myself, I'm totally addicted. This trip was planned, but it was planned with contingencies. I had 3 refundable trips booked in, which were either going to take me down to Arkansas, out of Washington, D.C., or potentially to the Northeast, because even though historically this area is usually covered by clouds or storms at this time of the year, this time Maine was picture perfect for the total eclipse. The crowds came out in force. This small town of Greenville, which is on Moosehead Lake, was packed to the brim, and people were experiencing. It's hard to describe in words, but it's awe-inspiring. It's magical. The celestial symphony, or whatever you want to call it, is really something emotionally, powerfully draining almost. And once again, it lived up to the expectations. It was such a beautiful thing to be part of, this collective joy. There are very few things that obviously bring people together, particularly in America, which is so polarized. But it was spectacular, and anybody who has the opportunity to see the total eclipse in 2028 in Australia, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's something everyone should experience if they have the opportunity to do so.
As you say, it's coming to Australia in 2028, Carrington. We know that you'll be booking your flights along with all the contingencies, but you mentioned the emotion that's involved. How did it feel to you?
Yeah, it's this kind of extraordinary feeling of, even though you know it's going to happen, and animals obviously don't have that benefit, it still captures you. And as I said, this is the second time I've gone through it. And even this time, you really feel it. The world turns eerie. It feels cinematic. It's kind of this like ghostly silence, particularly here in Moosehead Lake. We're right on a frozen lake here. So I didn't have the animal experience that you might have in other places where nocturnal animals awaken, and those that are normally up during the day start to go to sleep, and there's kind of a freak out around you. Here it was just deathly silent, but you could feel this collective joy at experiencing this thing. I mean, the numbers are obviously extraordinary. It's one of these amazing universal mathematical coincidences where the moon is 1/400th of the size of the sun and 1/400th the distance away, so it covers it perfectly. And the experience when you hit totality and people are able to take off their eclipse glasses for the first time and look directly at that corona it's hard to describe, but it's beautiful, it's moving, and it's a very, very special day. And I'm so happy I was able to experience it again.
We're so happy you were there, Carrington. You've gone from eclipse chaser to eclipse addict. I can feel it. Thank you so much for your time. We can now bring you live pictures coming in from Burlington in Vermont. Have a look at these amazing pictures as we go to Barbara Miller, who is in Washington, D.C. Barbara, what was the experience like there?
Well, I cannot really match Carrington's beautiful description of those life-changing, people say, experiences of total eclipse. But it's a great atmosphere down in the mall. Thousands of people have come out here, also coming here, just coming out of office blocks and hotels and government buildings and staring up at the sky, which I'm going to do again.
Love the glasses, Barbara.
I can still see a little bit of it.
Those glasses
About
suit
an hour
you.
ago, that was the... Okay, well, let's get them back on then. Although I can't see where the camera is. But look, I can still see some of the eclipse, and what it looks like is that the moon, as if the moon has taken, I can't do that, sorry, as if the moon's taken a little bite out of the sun. It's almost as if the sun looks a little bit like the moon. So again, people say that experiencing the total eclipse is something that you will never ever forget. In fact, 300 couples got married in Arkansas just before total eclipse there. But it's still pretty cool. It's really hard not to look up. It's still pretty cool to see a partial eclipse, and it feels like, yes, as Carrington was saying, it feels like a moment here in the US where people have really come together. Schools here in DC and across the country were getting glasses for the kids, and they were being brought out to have a look as well. So a real sense of just a folk festival, I guess, here in the US, as people experiencing a moment, and they won't get to experience it again for 20 years here in the US. This really is a once-in-a-generation experience. We have that one in Australia coming up in 2028, and then a few more in about the 10 or so years after that. So Australia's really going to be blessed with total solar eclipses in the next 10 to 15 years. Not so here in the US, so people really making the most of today.
Barbara Miller, extra marks for dressing like the glasses. Love the colour theme. Thanks for your time.